I'm Melissa and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have you here with me today for the start of week 3 of the low calorie density weight loss challenge. Now, if you have not watched the previous videos in this series and you are brand new to this challenge, don't worry, you can start on your own. Just do 30 days consistently and follow along with the videos and come join us on Instagram using the hashtag low calorie density challenge. I have been loving the photos of your food that you've been sharing with me. You've given me so many ideas of recipes that I want to try, and I've been saving a lot of the images and just absolutely loving seeing you guys connect there, support each other, and it's just been absolutely fantastic. So I want to thank you guys for sharing that all with me as well. Now that we are halfway through the challenge and you've been eating low calorie density meals for 2 weeks, how has it been going for you? How are you feeling? I would love to hear feedback from you guys, and so feel free to leave that in the comment section of this video or over on Instagram as well. If you're not yet following me, it's at MelissaAlexandria01. All right, so each week so far we've had a weekly focus, which is really just to kind of help put this whole process on autopilot for you, create some routines that help support your lifestyle, support you sticking with this way of eating long term, so that after the 30 days, you're really just in the flow of it and you're not having to rely on your willpower so much. You've just created some healthy routines that work for your lifestyle. And so week 1's focus was mastering your environment, where we really focused on cleaning up that pantry, getting rid of any junk foods and tempting foods that could potentially derail your long-term success with this, and speaking with the people in your life, letting them know that this is important for you, and really just focusing on setting up your surroundings in a way that's going to help you be successful with this. And week 2 was really all about making the food taste good so that you enjoy eating these meals. The more you enjoy eating low calorie density meals, the less this feels like a struggle and something that you're, having to make yourself stick with. And the more it just feels like something pleasurable that you enjoy doing. And then the weight loss kind of just takes care of itself by default of you eating low calorie density long term. And so in week 3, this week, we are going to focus on overcoming the obstacles to your long-term success. And I've compiled a list here from some of the challenges that you have reached out to me and explained to me that you are experiencing. Now, as I go through the list of these obstacles, maybe you can relate to some of them, and maybe you have your own as well. And you can feel free to reach out to me, and I will do my best to help you overcome whatever it is that you feel is standing in the way of you sticking with this long term. Because as I've stressed in several of my videos, the goal of this is not to get you to lose as much weight as you can in a short period of time by a certain date, and then that's it, and you go back to eating the way you used to eat before and gain the weight back. This is a slow and steady process. So 1 pound of fat loss a week is to be expected if you have more than 20 pounds to lose, and that is a fantastic result. Slow and steady, and when you reach that, healthy ideal weight range, to maintain that indefinitely. So this is not a race. I just really want to reiterate that. While I will get to the more practical questions that you've asked me, like dealing with bloating and gas, and when you reach a plateau, and cooking for a spouse who doesn't eat this same way as you, I want to first address an invisible obstacle that can really show up and derail your success with this long term. And that is waning motivation. When you really want something for a specific reason, say you're trying to lose weight to fit into a dress for, an anniversary dinner, or your doctor tells you that you are at risk for a certain health concern and you need to really lose some weight in order to take care of that. But what happens when you lose a bit of weight and you're feeling a bit better and you're not as motivated to keep going with it? How are you going to stick with it then and not go back and not gain the weight back and not start eating packaged, processed, oily, sugary, salty junk foods? that is what you need to prepare yourself for. And I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news or give you any specific type of tough love, but I just want to be realistic and ask you, how are you going to stick with this when the motivation isn't as strong as it may be at other times? I believe that one of the best armors against a waning motivation is routine and habit. When you are in the deep groove of cooking certain healthy meals, even if your motivation wanes, but you're just so used to eating your oatmeal with berries and you're in the flow of making your sweet potato black bean chilies, and that is your new lifestyle, you don't even need to use motivation anymore because you've created those solid routines that are supporting you being this healthy, ideal new weight. So that's just something that I really wanted to make clear in this video. All right, one of the big obstacles to success, and this can be something that is demotivating and can be concerning, is reaching a plateau. I've had several people, especially people who get within 10 pounds of their ideal weight range, 10 to 15 pounds, say, hey Melissa, I was losing a pound a week, things were going great, and then I just hit a plateau. And it's depressing me, or it's discouraging because I'm eating these healthy meals, but I'm not seeing the weight budge at all. Like, what do I do about this? And this is a fantastic question. And you know me, I love to share helpful resources with you guys. So there are a few videos that go in depth on this topic by Chef AJ and Dr. Doug Lyle. I'm going to post those videos in the description box of this video. So if this is your specific concern, I highly, highly recommend going to watch these videos. They're free, they're an awesome resource, and Dr. Doug Lyle shares some fantastic tips on this, some of which I'm going to paraphrase right now. So I like his explanation of what a plateau is. Plateau kind of makes it sound mysterious, like you've just hit a wall and all of a sudden your weight isn't budging anymore, even though you're doing all the right things. And what it really is an equilibrium. So say you used to be eating, highly calorically dense packaged processed foods, and all of a sudden you start eating a lot of fruit and vegetables and cut out those oily foods, and you see your weight come down and you're feeling great about it, and then you kind of hit this equilibrium. In order to continue to lose weight, your specific metabolism and your specific body might require you to reduce the caloric density even more. But a great example of this is Chef AJ, whom I reference so many times because she has taught me so much and has been a huge inspiration to me. She has a video where she shares her story, and she hit a plateau as well. And she was like, I'm eating so healthy, everything is whole food, plant-based, but she was still carrying quite a bit of extra body fat that she wanted to burn, and she was wondering what was the issue. And in her specific instance, she had to give up all dried fruit and this hemp seeds and some things that are healthy and seem so innocent, but that's really what it took. And as soon as she gave those foods up, she lost the other 15 pounds or so that she was holding on to. And so things that might be tiny little things that you might think there's no way that hemp seed that I'm sprinkling onto my oatmeal every morning, that can't be what is causing this equilibrium and plateau, but it could be. So you know that I never recommend eating less food. I believe you should always eat until you're comfortably full, but you may need to reduce the caloric density of your food in order to see continued weight loss. Another thing that I want to address is you may decide to make peace with the weight that you are. Maybe you had a specific number in mind that you wanted to get down to, but realistically, if you're at a healthy body mass index percentage and you're feeling healthy, you're feeling good, you may want to rethink that goal that you've set for yourself. And that's why I don't really recommend choosing a number, an ideal weight number. I always say an ideal weight range. And so follow the low calorie density way of eating until you're comfortably full. And as your body is losing the weight, you will see where your body kind of ends up. I didn't think that I would be at my weight. I thought maybe I'd get down to 110 pounds. I kept eating these large portions of food and I got down to about 105. So I didn't know that. I didn't use that number as a goalpost at all. And if I got to 110 and eating this way and the weight loss stopped there, I would have been happy with that. So that is just another thing that I want to bring up as well. And that's why I say don't focus on the number on the scale. And so I'm going to link a couple of videos by Dr. Doug Lisle in the description box if you want to learn more about this. There's one about plateaus, and then there's another one about losing the last 10 pounds. Another obstacle. I have been asked so many times to speak about bloating and gas. And these things are normal. When you start eating foods that are so full of fiber, it is completely normal to have bloating and also experience gas, especially with a large intake of beans, if you weren't really eating a lot of beans before. So this is completely normal. Your body is going to take time to adjust, and what you can do is to make sure that you are hydrated. And there are a few other kind of remedies that you can do to help with the bloating. Fennel tea is a natural way that you can help. You can also actually just take fennel seeds and chew on them and let your saliva kind of picks up on the fennel and just kind of swallow that, and that can help as well. But really, time is what is going to help the most. So I will put some information about bloating and gas. Know that it's normal. There's nothing wrong with experiencing these things, although they're not very fun and not very pleasant. And the other thing that I want to address is when people say bloating, I think a lot of the times it also is just having food in your stomach. So people have asked me about, like, your stomach protrudes when you've eaten a big plate of potatoes, for example. And yes, when you see me in photos, for example, having a flat stomach, that is not after I've eaten a massive plate of food or 2 big bowls of soup. After I've eaten my soup, yes, my stomach is, out because it's full of food. I'm comfortable with that. That's completely normal. That's completely natural. If it feels uncomfortable to you, then maybe break it up and have smaller meals throughout your day. However, for me personally, I feel my best when I eat larger meals less frequently throughout my day. That's a personal preference. I work from home. I'm at home almost all the time, so there's no one to see my protruding stomach other than Alex and our dog Beckham. And even if there were, I don't think it would really bother me personally, but I do understand everybody's different. And I just want to say that it's normal. All right, another obstacle is living with family members who don't eat this way, particularly if you are cooking for them. So the amount of time that it takes, and potentially even dealing with temptations of preparing foods that you're not eating. So for example, if you're baking cakes for people and they're eating that cake in front of you and you're not having any of it, that could be tempting. That could be, cause conflicting feelings for you. Maybe you're not feeling supported by the people in your home because they're also not trying this way of eating. There's so many different social situations and different feelings and emotions that can come up. And again, they are normal feelings. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And there are ways to navigate these situations. So I'll share with you something that I do. So Alex does not eat low calorie density for most of his meals. Something that I do though when I'm making food for both of us is I'll prepare the food my way and then I'll add something to it that makes the meal more exciting for him. So something I'll do when I'm having like pasta and broccoli. I'll make the pasta and broccoli all together, and then at the very end, he likes the vegan Italian sausages cut up and put into different dishes. So that's a high calorie density food. It's a processed food. There's a lot of oil in it, and I don't consider it to be a health food, although it's great that it is vegan. And so I have a little George Foreman grill that only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to cook one of the Italian sausages. So I will put that on for the last 3 minutes while the pasta is almost ready, and then I'll chop that up and I'll add it into his plate of pasta. So he's having something that's more calorie dense than I am, but we're not making 2 completely different meals. But I think one of the most important things is if there's something that's uncomfortable for you or making it difficult for you to stick with this, then be honest with the people that you live with and share that with them. They might have some ideas. They might say, you know what, I'll grab my pizza on the way home from work and I'll eat it before I come into the house so that you don't have to smell it and be tempted by it. Like, if you share how important this is for you with the people that love you, I would hope that they would try their best to make it easier for you. Another obstacle, which we kind of touched on last week, is the fact that it might be taking a lot of time to prepare these meals, the time and energy that goes into it. And I've had moments in my experience, to be honest, where I did feel frustrated that, why do I have to put so much work into this? Like, even especially when it's dining out, like I'll have to really go out of my way sometimes when everyone else is eating something and grabbing something quick, and I'll have to like run to the grocery store to buy like bananas and fruit and all this extra work in order to just have a meal, where people who are not eating this way can just stop for fast food and grab a meal in 5 minutes. But I feel sometimes like I'm being the difficult one. It doesn't really upset me often, but there are moments in certain situations where I'm like, like why can't this be easier? This should be easier. And you know, it is getting easier to eat healthy. There are ways around this, but sometimes it's just admitting to yourself that, hey, I've made this decision to eat this way and I've prioritized my health and this is important to me. And so that's why just remembering your why, remembering what this is all for, and also just accepting that sometimes you might get frustrated and that's okay. And that's why last week our focus was on creating go-to easy meals that fill you up and that are delicious for you. Because when you have that, if you're stressed out and you're like, look, I just don't feel like, you know, learning a new recipe that takes me an hour to make, and I might not end up liking how the food tastes, and I have to go out and buy all these fancy expensive ingredients and it's not fair and da 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 da. Like, if you're in that kind of a mood, having a go-to meal where you're like, I'll just go and make that. It takes me 15 minutes, fills me up, and it's awesome. So having that really does make it easier for you. So if you haven't done that yet, I encourage you to start experimenting with the food and find meals that are easy for you, delicious and filling. And if you need some inspiration from that, you can check out my What I Eat in a Day videos. Almost all of the ingredients I use, as you guys know, are from like Walmart, and they're very inexpensive. The meals are super doable. I am by no means a gourmet chef. I'm not claiming that I'm the best person in the kitchen at all, but I just make food that I like to eat, and that's what works for me. So that's why I share it with you guys, and hopefully that is helpful for you. All right, the next obstacle to success is also something that I've just kind of touched on, and it's being uncomfortable inconveniencing other people. Just feeling awkward in social settings, feeling like you are putting all the attention on yourself and you're not comfortable with that. Like when you're dining out, to have to inconvenience people and say like, no, I can't eat at that type of restaurant because they use oil, or, you know, no, I'm not going to eat that cake that you baked for me, or these other type of situations. And this can be a big challenge. This can feel deflating and defeating, and it can feel like, well, I don't want to live like this if I have to, you know, constantly explain myself to everybody. But I will say that this is all highlighted so much more when it's new for you. Once the people that are around you often start to understand that this is just the way you eat, it will not always seem like such a highlight or all the attention being on you. So it may be uncomfortable at first, and I'm sorry that you have to go through that. I'm sorry if you're experiencing, you know, uncomfortable social situations, and several of you have reached out and shared a few of them with me, and all I can say is I'm sorry that you're experiencing that, and I know from experience that, as I said, as things start to become your new normal with this way of eating, this will happen less and less. And you can prepare yourself by having certain things that you say to kind of diffuse the uncomfortable situation. Something that you can do is kind of be the first one to poke fun at yourself and be like, look, I'm gonna be the difficult one here. Before I place my order, yeah, I know, I'm the kooky vegan who's gonna place this funky kind of order, and you know, whatever it may be, to kind of poke fun at yourself before other people like roll their eyes at you and say, oh really, why can't you just eat that burrito, or who cares, it's just a bit of oil, you know, and understanding that this is something that maybe other people may have never even heard of, and they might be on the paleo diet and keto diet. And I personally have always respected other people's right to eat how they want to eat and their choice to choose what goes in their own bodies. So I am not about trying to convince other people to eat the same way as me in social situations. And I also recommend that for you as well. So if you find it awkward to have to explain yourself, you can just tell people, hey, this is just something I'm trying out for 30 days. Seems interesting. I'm gonna give it a try and see how it goes. And just kind of keep it light. And that's really all you can do. So while I'm sharing a few potential obstacles to your long-term success with eating this way and creating these healthy routines, only you know what your specific obstacles to long-term success with this are. And so your homework for this week is really an internal one, and it is to identify what they are. Ask yourself, in the past, if you've tried other ways of eating and other diets, what was it that made you not stick with it long term? What happened? What was it that didn't seem possible for you to keep going with that? And kind of envisioning how you are going to deal with that if it happens again. If you feel like, look, it was the dining out. I love dining out. I love eating out with friends. I love socializing. And I'm not willing to change that or give that up for trying to eat this way. Preparing yourself mentally in advance of any obstacles coming up can just be so helpful, because when you get those feelings like, oh, I just don't want to do this, you've already kind of set yourself up for success and told yourself, hey, when this comes up, this is how I'm going to deal with it. Maybe that's something as simple as a sentence that reminds you and snaps you back into your focus on why you even started with this. So maybe you're going to write that sentence out somewhere on a dry erase board in your office or on a post-it note and put it on your bathroom mirror. Whatever it takes to keep you on track, to remind you of why you started with this, and just let yourself know that even if you slip one day and go, back into an old routine or an old habit of eating something that is non-compliant with this way of eating, that doesn't mean that you need to give this up completely. That tomorrow is a new day and you can address that and ask yourself, what can I do to prevent myself from experiencing that again and from making that choice again? Does it mean I need to be more full at meal times? Does it mean I need to really focus on my environment and clean out that pantry again? You need to be your own best friend in this situation. You need to be your own champion and your own support system as much as you possibly can. And I just want to know that I'm here for you. If I can help you overcome any of your obstacles in any way, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or here on YouTube, and I'm happy to help you. And also go follow the hashtag Low Calorie Density Challenge on Instagram and support each other, because you're a community of people who are all doing the same thing, all having that same goal in mind: healthy weight loss, focusing on a healthy lifestyle, and not having to weigh or measure your food anymore, being free of calorie counting for good, and focusing on delicious, filling, healthy meals to nourish your body with. And I think that's fantastic. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.